Hello, campfire crew. Welcome in. Welcome to the campfire. Please pick a spot, get yourself comfortable, grab some water. Don't worry about my raspy voice. I'm okay. I'm just a little sick. Everything's good. But grab yourself a seat, get comfortable around the fire, and we're going to do my update for my Project Play. So if you don't know what Project Play is, I don't blame you. I made it up. So Project Play is based off of Project Pan, where makeup enthusiasts, often who have too much makeup, will try and use up some of their products. And what they'll do is they'll use, it typically started, I think, with eyeshadow, where you would use your eyeshadow until you would hit pan. And pan meant that you can see the metallic pan at the bottom of your eyeshadow. So I took that idea and tried to apply it to video games, and this is the rules I came up with. So first of all, I had to figure out what panning would mean for video games. So in terms of video games, I figured that a good way to do it would be the dollar value translated into number of hours, and that would be considered a pan. So if you have a game that is 80 hours long, that is $80, you would have to play that game for 80 hours. $50 game, 50 hours would be a pan, so on and such forth. So that is the goal of my project, is one, to hit as many pans as possible in my collection. This is by no means my entire gaming collection, but it is every game that I plan on playing multiple times and that I like and I enjoy and that I'm glad I purchased. The goal is to get my pan percentage to 100%, which is, I'm starting to realize maybe not gonna happen, but we can try. So in total, I have 36 games and I have panned 11 of them, meaning that my pan percentage is 30.56 as of my original update, which was at the beginning of December. I decided to also add some new metrics in this system so I could kind of get different ideas of how many games I've played and where I am in the project. So along with those criteria that I tracked in my first update, I also added in 2 more criteria to this project, which is the number of hours that I would need to finish this project, which is 501. And the other factor is I did the same thing for Animal Crossing, which is panned already. But my goal with Animal Crossing is to get my gameplay up to 1,000 hours by the end of the year, and to do that I would need to play it for 330 hours as of the intro to this project. So those were my intro numbers. I guess we'll start by going through the games that I moved up the numbers in. So we'll start with the back, and we'll start with Super Mario Party. So it's the older Mario Party game for the Switch, and I last month had that played for 10 hours, and over the course of this month I have added 5 more hours, bringing the total up to 15 hours of gameplay, and that is an $80 game, so I would need to play that for another 65 hours to pan that game. I learned this month that there are a lot of ways you can play Mario Party by yourself, which is how I got the extra 5 hours. I played a few rounds of Mario Party with my boyfriend this month, and I also played a few hours by myself. There's still a little bit to do to kind of 100% Mario Party. There's a few single player things. There's something called Victory Road where you play mini games and try and do little mini game challenges, which is how I spent a couple of those hours. There is also some rhythm games, which I've played all the rhythm games, but I don't have them all beat. So for single player stuff, that isn't just using bots, I still need to do the rhythm games and beat all of those. So I think that's going to take me another hour to maybe 5 hours, depending on how bad I am at them, which the answer is I'm very bad at them. So maybe it'll take me a whole extra 5 hours, which would actually be very lovely. And then the rest of my hours for this game are going to need to be played either with Chris, with some other friends of mine, or I can play them by myself and just use bots. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm probably going to have to play with bots a decent amount. The next game I played a decent amount of hours in is Super Mario Odyssey. So I started playing Odyssey this month around the beginning of the month. When I started doing this project, I realized that Odyssey needed a lot more hours, so I picked that up more thoroughly. I managed to beat the main story beats for the game, and now I'm just trying to get all the extra power moons, which is going to take me forever because similar to Breath of the Wild, there are a lot of things you can do post
editing me here. I never actually talked about how many hours I got in the game. So I started my project. In the intro I had 10 hours, and then in my first update, so my January update, so at the start of January, I got to 15 hours in the game.
Not that I've ever actually beat Breath of the Wild, but I did get to beat Mario Odyssey, but there's a lot more I can do. I might still need to replay the game to get it up to the 80 hours because just beating the game only took me 10 to 15-ish hours. But I think I can get at least, hopefully, like 10 more hours in the game just with finding extra power moons and like 100%ing the game, or at least like trying to 100% the game. Hopefully I can get more like 20 or 30 hours in that. And then I also plan on playing all of these games on stream at least once during the year. So if I do a full playthrough of Mario Odyssey again for stream, that'll be another like 10 hours in the game. Maybe more if people like it. I can do power moon stuff as well. So maybe I can get that high just streaming the game would be really ideal. So that's Super Mario Odyssey. The next game I played a lot of, actually, is I played for 15 hours of Miitopia. Miitopia is a port onto the Switch of an old Wii game, so it uses Mii characters, which you can create yourself or you can pull off the gallery, and it's an RPG style game using Miis. And when I found out that they put this on the Switch, I was so excited because I, back in the day when it first came out, watched a bunch of playthroughs of the game and thought it was so weird and creative and fun looking, but nobody ever finished the game. They played through like a world or two and then they stopped. Like there were no 100% playthroughs of this game anywhere. So I'm still playing through the game. It's not finished yet. I have 5 more hours, so I paid $65 for the game. I'm at 60 hours, so I need 5 more hours to beat the game fully. And I am nearing the end of the game, but I'm hoping that I get the next 5 hours through one playthrough, but I still plan on playing at least a little bit of this game on stream. Like I said, every game in this list is going to be played on stream at least once. So I will at the very least be able to play a little bit of Miitopia that way. But I'm hoping that that game will be panned by next month. It should be panned in like a week from now. So next month we should be able to get Miitopia completely finished up, and we will have our pan for this year. The next game that I played this month was called Florence. So Florence is going to be a very difficult game to pan. Florence is a small story-based game that uses game mechanics to tell the story of someone's relationship breakup it's one of those games that's less a game and more like, it's a lot more story oriented, and it's also like, it's a little bit of proof of concept of how you can use game mechanics to further story beats in a game, and how you can use game mechanics to tell a story, which is really interesting, but it also makes it hard to replay. So this was the second time I replayed it, and 2 playthroughs got me to an hour in the game, which means for 9 more hours I would have to play it 18 more times. So I would need to play it 2 more times a month for 9 months to pan the game. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that, but we'll see. Maybe I can try speedrunning the game. I should look up if there's speedrunners of this game already. If not, I'm gonna make a speedrunning record, I guess. I don't know. But I'm gonna have to figure out some shit with this game to try and like make it fun for myself. So if you have any suggestions for how to make a short story based game fun to play 18 times in a year, leave them down below, because I could use some fucking help. And then last but not least, let's talk about Animal Crossing. So when I started this project, I had played Animal Crossing for 670 hours, and my goal is to get it to 1,000. And this month I managed to get that to 705 hours. So I played it for an additional 35 hours. So if we go back, well, in my case, like actually flipping back, if you don't know, the way that I track this project is twofold. So first of all, I track my total hours in my notebook here. I have the name of the game, I have how much more or less I spent on the game, and then underneath it I have how many hours I've spent. So every month, at the end of the month, I go through the games, I see what I've played, and then I write down the new number. So some of the games you can see there, I mean, maybe you can see, I don't know if you can see from that far away. But every month I pick a different color, so I have in front of me as my stack of pencil crayons, which I barely use, so this is getting some good use out of my old high school art supplies. But I pick a new color, and so you can kind of see when I played these games. So the colors also match up to, if you flip back here, this is the other way that I track my progress. These are the stats that I've been saying about pan percentage, number of pans, hours I need in the game, all that kind of stuff is tracked back here. This is like some stream stuff that I was trying to figure out how to stream new games all the time on my Twitch channel while not buying any new games and still having new games to play. So I have a whole thing about that. At any rate, so you have the numbers of like times I spent on the games. So the first one is in pencil, and that's before I even started this project. I was tracking my hours in the game just because I like tracking hours. It's a thing I enjoy, which is why I do projects like this so much and enjoy them, and I watch them a lot, is because before I even did this on YouTube, I was tracking this anyway, and my goal was still to pan stuff. Now I'm just doing it for your hopefully for your enjoyment as well as my own. So pencil is before the project started. Pen is a different time before the project started. Purple is my first color, so if we go back here, my project pan intro stuff is all in purple, so you can see at the beginning of the project, if I upped anything, it'll be written in purple. So some of them are in pencil, some of them are in pen, so that way you can kind of see when I've played them and how, like, when I'm getting my progress. So red is the current month, so red is for tracking January's progress. So anything written in red, you'll know that I got those numbers during January. Next month will be a different color. Maybe it'll be yellow. Probably won't be yellow. Maybe it'll be blue, and you'll be able to track the progress. That'll be next month's. Is like February is blue, so if it's written in blue here, I played it for that many hours in February. So you'll be able to visually see when I played the games too, which I think is really interesting. I didn't intend this with my project, but I can't find any pencils at my house. They're hidden in a box somewhere, I don't know where. I think they're actually over there with the art supplies, but because I already started doing it this way, I think I might continue, just because it is an interesting way to track when I got all this progress as well. So yeah, that's how I track it. Is one, I write the numbers down here. So every month at the end of the month, so it's the 31st today, so January starts tomorrow. So today I went through my Switch and I looked at all of the numbers and I wrote everything down. Next month at the end of January, before February starts, I'll do the same thing. I'll write all my new numbers down for anything that has progress in it. And so that way I can track my progress. So I'm just adding new numbers every time that I have new numbers. And that's going to include things that I've already panned, just to keep track of how much I use them, when I use them, that kind of stuff. So that's my progress for that. And then I write down all my statistics and the information that I'm sharing with you guys in this back section. So that's how I track my progress. I hope that was interesting. Anyway, so as you can probably guess, I did not hit pan on any new games. So my number of panned games is still 11, which makes my pan percentage 11 over 36, which is 30.56. And then my hours, I have reduced the number of hours I spent on all of my games in total this month was 26. Sorry, all of my games other than Animal Crossing, all my panned games, I have 26 hours of progress in. Taking it from 501 hours I would need to complete this project to 470 hours I need to complete this project. And then for Animal Crossing, I started with 330 hours. I played for 35 hours, making the total hours I would need to reach my 1,000-hour goal 295, meaning, and yes, I did the math on this too, that for the next 12 months of this project, because it ends this time exactly, because it's New Year's Eve right now, next year, so in the next 12 months, I would need to play all of my games that are not panned for 39.58 hours every single month. So I would need to put in about 40 hours of gameplay into my non-panned games every month for the next 12 months to complete my project. And for Animal Crossing, that number is 24.6. So during December, which was basically like a free month because this is a year-long project, plus December, aka last month. So it's a 13-month project, but I'm still calling it a year-long project. So it's 13, and then last month, the update was kind of like free. All the progress I've made, which is kind of like extra stuff that I got to make before my project even started. And so if I hadn't done that free month, I would have needed to play my games for 41.75 hours, so almost another 2 hours. And then for Animal Crossing, I reduced it by like 3 hours. So the thing about that is if I meet my goals of 40 hours for my panless games and about 25 hours for my non-panned games, the number will stay the same. If I don't meet that goal, so like let's say if I only play games for 20 hours, that number of hours I'm going to need to play per month is going to go up. And then if I play like 50, 60, 70 hours, that number is going to go down. So every month I'm also going to tell you where I am on that, and hopefully we see that number slowly going down. So I'm going to try, especially within the first couple of months of this project, to get that number as low as possible so that I don't have to rush at the end, or at the very least to keep that number consistent. So to keep my 40 hours of gameplay I would need to beat this project at the same number at the 40 hours. And I'm also going to try and obviously reduce my pan number, or increase my pan percentage. But yeah, like I said, there's a few different ways I'm working on this project. Over the last month, I've been considering a lot of strategies I could use to try and beat these games. So there's some games that are going to be a lot harder for me to pan than others. Most of those include games that are multiplayer, especially games where there is no single player mode. So something like Jackbox, for instance, there is absolutely no way to play Jackbox without other people. And I need 39 hours to pan that game. So that's going to be probably the most difficult game for me to pan. There's also, of the games that I have yet to pan, 13 of those games I need more than 10 hours of, and then 12 of those games I need less than 10 hours of. So there's a few ways I can go about this project. I can either focus on the games where I only need like 5 hours in them right off the bat. So I could play like Utopia that needs 5 hours. I only need like 10 hours in House Flipper. I only need like 5 hours in When the Past Was Around. I only need like 5 hours for Cozy Grove. There are games where I only need like 5 to 10 hours of gameplay to finish. So I could either start with those games and get a lot of pan percentage, but not necessarily cut down on my hours. I could also hyper focus on my hours and not really worry about the pans and let the pan comes at the end. So do like a slow pan percentage, but really focus on those hours. I can also do a mix where I focus on, I try and make sure I always get one pan per month, and I'm reducing the hours by a decent amount. The other thing about my project is that I would need, for pan percentage to get to 100, I have 25 games that still need to be played. So that would mean I would need to pan 2 games a month, plus 1 month I would need to pan 3 games at some point. So yeah, I could focus on that 2 pans per month. I could focus on the number of hours I need. But for the first month of this project, or the first official month, for my January month, I think I'm going to focus on just sheer hours of games I'm playing. So instead of focusing on specific games that need only 5 hours to complete, I'm just going to try and play games a lot. So even if I don't move that pan percentage at all next month, if I play for like 60 hours, I think I'm going to be happy. I'm going to focus on some of the games where I need the most amount of hours. So probably Mario Odyssey, I'm going to hyper focus on, and any game where I just need a lot of hours, I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to try and get like a lot of hours into those games and just play for as much as possible and try and get that number down a lot and not worry about pan percentage for the next month at the very least. Anyway, I hope that was interesting for you. I hope my lighting's not completely shit. I do work with natural lights, and it is winter, so it's a little difficult, and I feel like I'm not quite as bright as I used to be. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that video, and wish me good luck. If there's any particular games you want to know about, and you want to know, like, if you have any questions for me, you can leave those down below. Wish me luck, and I will see you guys later. Bye.